Hello and welcome to a grief journey. My name's Catherine and I created this channel to document my journey through grief after my 11-year-old daughter suddenly and unexpectedly died. So I'm making this channel both in part to just document for myself my own journey through grief and to hopefully also create content that could be helpful to someone who is watching. So if you're watching, thank you for coming. I hope the strategy I'm about to share with you can be helpful for you. So today I want to tell you about a strategy that I've known about for a long time. In my profession, I'm a psychologist. I haven't mentioned that on this channel before. So this is something that I've used, I've taught to others, and I haven't done research on it. I've researched it as in I've read the research that's been done on it, and it's been shown to be fairly effective for a lot of the things that you are probably going through when you're going through grief and loss and trauma. So it is something called EFT, or the Emotional Freedom Technique. It's more commonly referred to as tapping. It was created by a man named Gary Craig. I will link his website down below in case you are interested. I'm also going to link another website down below called the Choose Love Movement. The Choose Love Movement is an amazing organization created by a woman named Scarlett Lewis. Her story is she lost her 6-year-old son in the Sandy Hook shooting, and tapping helped her greatly to get to a point where she felt both peace and forgiveness for the shooter. So if that doesn't show you how powerful this can be, I don't know what can. But the Choose Love Movement is just this amazing resource, particularly if you're an educator. It breaks down everything by developmental level, age, many different activities. Everything is free, and there are a lot of tapping strategies in it, again, broken down by developmental level. So simpler for the little ones and more intensive for the older ones. So again, check that out. Amazing organization, and check out Gary Craig's website if you're all interested in this technique. But I will just give a primer today on how I use this technique and kind of walk you through what it might look like for emotions that I feel are pretty common with grief and loss, and that is guilt and shame. I know I've felt these. Everyone I talk to who lost someone unexpectedly has felt feelings of guilt and shame. And even people who lose someone unexpectedly, like after a long illness, they can still feel feelings of guilt and shame. I think they're so common because we really want to control our world. And when something like this happens, we feel very out of control, and guilt and shame come up to try to help us feel like maybe we could have been in control of what happened. We might rationally know that's not true, but our gut is trying to tell us, yeah, we could have done something different. We're still in control. We've just got to do better next time, and we're in complete control. And of course, there are things you can do to be better in control of your life and make sure you do the least damage. Don't text or drink while driving, those kinds of things. But most things are really, truly out of our control, out of our hands. So this is a technique that I think can help the heart catch up with the head. Your logical brain might know better, but your heart doesn't realize it yet. So the tapping involves tapping a series of acupressure points while saying some statements that relate to whatever you're dealing with. And it's not completely certain how this works, but it seems like the combination of the statements and tapping the acupressure points help make the part of your brain that is latching on to that thought or feeling loosen up a bit and reroute to something a little bit softer. So without further ado, I'll jump right into it. Oh wait, I have one more thing. The more specific you can get for yourself, probably the more effective this can be. So today I'm just going to go through general feelings of guilt and shame. But if there's something specific in your story of grief and loss, for example, if you lost someone in a car accident and you feel like maybe you should have left 2 minutes later and then they'd still be alive. You could tap specifically on that thought and the feelings that come up with the thought. But you want to make sure that the statement you make is raw and true to how you're feeling. You don't want to soften it with your rational brain. So you don't want to say something like, even though I feel guilt and shame, and I know I shouldn't because there's nothing I could have done, da 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 da. You don't want to soften it with your rational brain. You just want to stick with how you really feel about the situation. So to start, you start tapping this karate chop portion of your hand, and you have what's called a setup statement. The setup statement goes as follows: even though, fill in the blank with your raw feelings, emotions, symptoms, concerns, and then end with, I fully and deeply accept myself. Okay, so even though, fill in the blank, I'm going the wrong direction though. Even though, fill in the blank, I'm feeling this, I'm going through this, I'm thinking this, I fully and deeply accept myself. With your setup statement, you don't want to put it outside of you. You don't want to be like, even though my husband is a jerk, I fully and deeply accept myself. You turn it into something like, even though I'm really angry at my husband, I fully and deeply accept myself. And Nathan, I apologize for using you as a guinea pig in that example. So start tapping the karate chop part of your hand. Even though I feel all of this guilt and shame over her death, and I keep thinking I should have done something different and maybe she'd still be alive, and it's just overtaking me all the time, I fully and deeply accept myself. Even though I have all these feelings of guilt and shame, and it's keeping me awake at night, and it's making me feel terrible and torn up inside, I fully and deeply accept myself. It doesn't have to be the same every time. It's not an exact script. Even though I have all these feelings of guilt and shame, and I wish I did something different, and that lack of control makes me feel like I'm spinning out of control, I fully and deeply accept myself. Okay, after you say that while tapping that part of your hand 3 times, you go through tapping other parts of your body with just 1 or 2 words that remind you of that setup statement. So I might just say guilt. Top of the head is the first point. And then inside the eyebrows, just tap 5 to 7 times, guilt. Guilt outside of the eyebrows. Guilt right under the eyes. Guilt right under the nose. Guilt in the crease of your chin. And guilt in the soft spot underneath your clavicle, and on the outside of your sternum, there's a little soft spot there. Guilt. And under the arms, right where the bra goes if you're a woman, guilt. And I usually run through this about 3 or 4 times. I usually run through it until I really feel less activated and overwhelmed by that feeling. This is something that I've been using since my daughter died to just help with immediate panic moments, but I know it would benefit me the most if I kind of use it every day. At the beginning of the day to set up how I'm feeling about facing another day without her. At night, I think it could help me sleep. I have not been sleeping well at all. I think it could help me sleep to tap a little bit on my fears about sleeping and not getting a good night's sleep. So if you like this technique, definitely check out Gary Craig's website and the Choose Love movement. Again, it's very open and flexible. That setup statement can be on whatever you need it to be on. It can be on a headache. It can be on a trauma. It can be a nervousness about performing something. It can be for so many different things. So If you've heard of this technique before, used this technique before, I'd love to hear how it helped you. Post in the comments below. If you use this because of this video, please also let me know. I'd love to know if you've used it, if it's helped you in any way. That would be wonderful to hear about. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're at all interested in this content. And to all of you who have lost someone dear to you, my heart goes out to you. I hope you can feel all the love surround you, and I hope you all have a good day.